Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you another game between, David Alberto and Massimo Scialaffa. This game was played in the Italian Championship in 2014. And some information about David Alberto. He was the Italian champion twice, once in 2012 and the second time in 2019. And so let's dive into the game. And David opens with knight f3, the ready opening, knight f6, c4, g6, b4, a somewhat rare move against the King's Indian, bishop g7, Maxime fianchettoing his bishops, bishop to b2, opposing black's strong dark square bishop, cancels by black, g3, c6, preparing to strike in the center with d5, knight to a3, Queen d6, Maxime developed his queen with an attack against the b2 pawn, the b4 pawn. Knight c2, David defends and d6. Maxime prepares e5. Rook b1, getting a rook out to a1 h8 diagonal and preventing any future bishop captures on a1 action. And e5 by Maxime. Bishop to g2, Alberto fianchettoed his king's bishop and prepared a castle. e4. Maxime wastes no time as he sees the white king is still in the center, so he strikes with e4, chasing away the knight. Knight f to d4, and now a5. A flank attack trying to open up to a5 was rook. a3, defending, a captures on d4, a captures on d4, and now knight b to d7. Finally, David castles and now rook to e8. Will Maxime adds protection to the e4 pawn. Bishop to c3, while David also adds another defender to the b4 pawn. And knight to e5, attacking the c4 pawn. Knight e3, white defends it, and now h5. Maxime wants to place h4 to bust open the king side and hopefully gets an attack. Rook a1. Well, here David wants to trade off a pair of rooks, which Maxime accepted. Rook captures on a1, queen captures on a1, and now h4 by Maxime. And even though g captures on h4 is completely okay, no human player would do this as it severely weaken the pawn structure around his king. So, b5, and David keeps on playing positionally on the queen side. H captures on g3 by Maxime, and H captures on g3, and knight to g4. And with this move, Maxime prepares a devious plan. Knight to c2, and with this move, David actually opens up a double attack against the knight on f6. And if this knight on g4 is captured, then society will lose its defenders. Sorry. And it might causes Maxime some problems with his bishop on g7, as David does have this strong battery eyeing the a1 h8 diagonal. Queen c5 by Maxime. He is now preparing queen to h5, and knight captures on g4 by David. He accepts the sacrifice of the bishop on g7. Knight captures on g4, and now bishop captures on g7. But now, queen to h5. Well, Maxime is threatening checkmate in one with queen to h2. So, the only good move to defend this. Well, actually, there are numerous moves to move with the rook, but rook to b1 is the most precise one. And of course, here Maxime played queen to h2 check, continuing with his attack. King f1 forced, and knight to e5. This is a critical position. Well, Maxim is planning knight to f3. If this knight lands on f3, white will have to accept it. However, if white tries another move, for example, in the previous position, if the sacrifice isn't accepted like d4 here, and still like we go for queen to h5, and now white isn't even up a piece. So another option for white is in this position after knight e5 is e3. Sorry, after g4 by white is e3, trying to create some room for the king on the e2 square. However, this doesn't work due to bishop to h3, and now if white captures the bishop, sorry, the knight on e5 with bishop captures on e5, then black can play queen captures on g2 with check, and it's a fairly quick checkmate. Bishop g4 check, king to g1, and now queen to g1 checkmate. And after bishop takes e5, other than bishop captures on e5, if white tries to run away with the king and gives up some material, it doesn't work. Queen captures on g2, and now d3. Now forced, recommended by the engines. And now e captures on d3 with check. King comes to d1. Now queen to f1 check. King goes back to d2, and now queen captures on f2 with check. If the king goes to, for example, d1, then queen captures. Bishop to g4 check, and the king has only one move, legal move, and that's king c1, and after this, queen captures on c2 is checkmate. So you see that black is completely winning if white tries to run away. So this move, bishop to h3, is really a nuisance with white's position in almost all the lines. So after g4 by white, well, he's trying to give up some material. If knight captures on g5, this would be a roughly equal position with white trying to survive. And he's also trying to free some space around his king. Now, Maxim continues with the devastating knight to f3. He's threatening queen to g1 checkmate, and there's really no way to guard against this threat other than to accept the knight, which Alberto did in the game. E captures on f3, but now simply pawn captures on f3. Bishop captures on f3 by white, and here Maxim just launched his final undeveloped piece, that is the bishop on c8 to the attack. Bishop captures on g4, and in this position, white resigns. Well, white resigned here due to the simple, some of the simple checks will end like the king immediately. Well, for example, bishop to g2 trying to defend, bishop to e2 check. King has to go to, well, e1, and now queen g1 check. Bishop has to block the only legal move, and then queen captures, and f1 is checkmate. And other than that, like after bishop to g4, if white tries to block with blocks e5 with the bishop with the move like bishop to e5, trying to give like some material. For example, rook captures on e5, and even queen captures on e5. As the rook along e5 is extremely powerful. Well, this also doesn't work due to pawn captures on e5. Bishop captures on g4. Well, it seems like white has sufficient material to continue the game, as he does have two minor pieces and a rook. However, this rook will soon be lost as the queen h1 check wins the rook. And if it does not capture this bishop, for example, let's move b3, then bishop to h3 or bishop captures on oh or queen to h3 check is completely winning. Yeah, the bishop cannot block. We can show it. If bishop blocks, then queen captures rook on b3. That's why the move rook to b3 to defend the bishop is a bit dubious. And other than that, for example, not bishop to g2 or something moves like bishop captures on f3 is sufficient for black to win this game. As after a couple of checks, white will lose all and pawn and pieces. For example, rook captures queen check, and king has to defend the rook, but now e4. The rook has to move anywhere. For example, e3, c3, doesn't really matter. C captures on b5. This one is defended, and cd5. After cb5, black can play f5, cementing this pawn on e4. And even though the material seems a bit balanced, like this up 2 points in material, these white pieces are extremely discoordinated, that white can easily lose with the slightest blunder. So after the move bishop captures on g4, if white was to play bishop captures on g4, then it's checkmate in one move, queen h1 checkmate. Other than that, white has no other viable option, and that ending we have just experienced is simply losing for white. So David didn't want to suffer anymore, and in this position he resigned. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you soon in another video.